UK meet, but I'll give that a run at some time. But it's set up for high traction at the moment, and I'm certainly not running it on the thick surface. But yeah, I just want to give that a bit of a go. I've sold a couple of lasers, and I've just picked up a couple as well that were just a little bit more pre-done, because you can spend a fortune on them.
Yeah,
Getting
the
them built
parts,
up.
especially trying to find parts.
Yeah, like finding those team line hubs is getting impossible now. Those green hubs on the front is just nigh impossible now. Yeah, until they re-release it.
Do you reckon that's going to happen? I don't think so.
Oh, if it does, it'll be 5 years. Yeah, but it's running really well. But I noticed that it did suffer a little bit when I ran it last meet. That's the only time I've run it since I've only run that car at the Bash, the red and white one there, for 3 years running, and then I ran it last meet at Chargers for the first time, and she just felt a little bit off the line, a little bit rear end strong. And the front diff had unwound a little bit, and the rear end was a bit tight, so that would explain that. But it's still
got the one way unit
to drive. But no, it's got it's got a different lay shaft now for full time. Yeah, which is what it opens it right up. You should have a drive. I'll bring it down.
I've got a ZXR.
You got the full time 4-drive
lay shaft? I've got the model that you can actually tighten up a one way.
Oh, yeah, it felt so much better with that. Yeah, nullifying that one way in the center was just, felt a lot better.
The bizarre part of it was back in the day, all our cars had one ways. Nick, when you started on road, you probably would have been with a one way car as well.
Yeah, look, one ways were being introduced, and obviously it provided a challenge. They gave more steering, but sometimes you actually got to change the setup because it was way too much front steering with that one way. So the challenge was, how do you take or provide extra rear grip to cope with all that, that new extra steering that you had.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know my only exposure to the on-road cars was getting a couple of YR4s. But I don't know if you drove those, but yeah, they definitely had the one-way, I think, just like the YZ10s in the middle.
I think my first car that had the one-way was a Trinity Switchblade. My favourite ever car. I think that was an absolute weapon.
Wouldn't be too many of those around.
Certainly not.
No.
Nice to grab some water, fellas. I'll be back.
Great.
Says we're on air, but I don't know. Maybe you're broadcasting somewhere else. No.
The scheduled one won't start. I think. Okay, what's that one? I think I've got two running. Yeah. That's interesting. I think seems to be a long delay in the broadcast. So, I am getting awesome at this. Not. Okay, I think that's running. Oh, it's getting like
Here we are. Well, you were there for a split second. Now that's it. We're on.
Are we on? Have I created
Certainly
two,
are.
or are we good?
Welcome everyone that's watching. This is our second attempt at a podcast. Master Andrew Cook at the helm. He's finally worked out which channel to actually broadcast on. Well, we've gone.
Yeah, I think we'll
Now we're back.
We'll be coming back. Yeah, I
So
stopped
yeah,
it and
here we are.
started it, so it'll be a bit rocky to start with, but it'll get going. So yeah, I think we'll just push on, and we are streaming. It might be on a second feed, but I think we'll we'll get stuck in and see how this one goes.
So without further ado, we've got a couple of people to introduce here to this evening. The bloke in the hat, the good-looking bloke in the hat, Greek legend himself, Nick McCready from Hobbies Direct. Not only is he our Hobbies Direct representative, but he's also a legend.
Mate, how much did I pay for that?
That comes with a Tyre 2 sponsorship package.
I didn't expect that one. That's can't come from left field, but let's all work something out, Lou.
He's been holding on to that one.
Jeez.
And the
Well played, mate. Well played.
The bronze Aussie on the other corner is our friend Nathan Marsh from Queensland Chargers.
How are you, boys? Happy to be here.
Yeah, great to be here.
Thank you for the invite.
So yeah, that's what we got for tonight. We where do we kick it off with, Andy?
Well, kick it off with a whole lot of shenanigans on my side. So I guess welcome all. Hopefully, as people come on, we're sounding okay. So we've got a slightly better set of equipment this week for our second ever live stream, and we'll see how this goes. Again, we're always welcoming feedback and tips for improvement. It's a bit chaotic at the moment, so we'll see how it is. Probably get stuck in with vintage bash ethos. What we've been going on about on and off, which is the whole sort of underlying intent and vibe of the bash and why it's become so popular is it's not so much about winning at all costs. It's more about celebrating the cars from our past, from the history, and enjoying what that brings for us. My apologies. So yeah, all about the cars, the friends, the mates that we had and have, make new mates, reconnect with old mates, and have the stories from the past and all the good times that we used to gain from all the racing over the years. And that's really what the vintage bash is about, and a lot of the sort of vintage culture is about. We chuck these old cars on the track and we try and drive them as quick as possible, of course, because racing is racing. But what we really want to focus on is enjoying it, celebrating the cool old cars and seeing them all out again in the pits as well as on the track. So yeah, that's kind of an underlying vibe that we want to keep reiterating and talking about, because that's what it's all about, and part of why it's become so big over the last 3 years and potentially bigger again this year. So if you wanted to have any comments on that one, guys.
Well, for me, it was we always discussed doing a race meeting for the vintage cars, but every time we started talking about it, we always ended up having the hurdle, which was the rule set. What car do you put in what class, what rule set, what motors, and it just became too hard, because when we're trying to mimic something that happened 25 or 30 years ago, you got to remember that let's say we had a race meeting in 1994, everybody had a 1994 compatible car that could actually be run. We move forward 30 years, well, those cars, we can't say we've got 20 1994 cars. So you end up sticking with cars from the 94 era with cars from the 84 era and cars from the 2000 era. And it's just such a disparity because there were so many changes around that time. So we broke it down to what the actual main reason was that brought people to the vintage racing, and vintage is the vintage cars. So what do we want to see? We want to see the vintage cars. If we actually get to see them racing again, well, that's just like a godsend. A comment I made was, who here was at the 87 Worlds? Well, nobody. Well, Jeno was. But we have arranged it in a way that you could potentially see the same cars that were racing in the 87 Worlds A final, racing each other on the track with similar speeds and looking the same as what they were back then. Not so much about who wins a trophy, it's just we're putting on a display with these cars. That's literally what we're really doing. And I think the more that this event has sort of evolved itself, the more people are understanding what we're trying to do, and the more they're jumping on board and, hey, I'm going to make a car look exactly like I did in 1987. And Marshy, I know you've got an 834B floating around somewhere in your collection, which is one of my favourites because it looks exactly like it would have come off a truck then.
Yeah, definitely. The paint schemes, that's why we try and keep the paint schemes even era correct, because that's it's what you want to emulate, what you want to see on track. You don't want to put a modern paint scheme on these older cars. We want to see them with those old paint schemes. We want to see your authentic paint scheme. We want to see those different eras running together against light cars. And I think you did that last year in the Bash 3.0, and I think you'll do it even better this year. Yeah.
I think if I can add as well, I think we're all from a vintage era ourselves, and
definitely with the rules is a good topic because we try and have minimal rules, as you're saying, just really the main classes that we want to emulate and recreate. And it's not about is this bit legal or is that bit legal, and all the specific details about them. It's not about that. It's about making the cars look right on the track, like you're saying, look like they did back in 1989 or whatever. And that's really where it keeps the fun and keeps it easy. We've seen other events where there's heaps of detailed rules, which is not what vintage is about. Modern racing, yes, for sure, but not this stuff.
Yeah, I think it gets into it gets a little bit murky in the waters, whereby there's all these modern techniques now of building parts and carbon fiber and all of these other materials out there now that can be added. And how far can we go? I think we've always, being racers of RC cars, we want to modify the cars as much as we can, right?
Yeah.
But sort of like with an objective. Yeah, you don't want to go just totally crazy and turn it into a B74 modern car from you can't do that with a hot shot. But some of these cars you can go a long way. But let's just keep them looking right. Yeah, you can use some carbon fiber instead of FRP and do that sort of thing, but just sort of just keep it on track, so to speak, and keep it looking as it did as much as possible, without going into a big board discussion.
Yeah. Now, Nick, you were saying that you were pretty old yourself.
Thanks for reminding me, Lou. But I think I just want to probably take a step back and say that I'm probably the only odd one out of the group where I didn't really focus too much on off-road. In fact, probably not at all. I've known Lou and Cookie for a long time, but from the on-road scene. But I think we all share the same thing: is that we're all in a bit of a vintage age ourselves. We get finer, like a fine glass of or a fine bottle of wine. But I think we all share one thing in common, and that's nostalgia, and we want to go back and relive those moments. I call those the golden age, where it wasn't really about winning. Sure, there was an element of winning there, but we just enjoyed racing. We enjoyed coming together. The cars weren't as super fast as they are now. I was racing with 540 motors back in this. If I say 1988 on road, then you know how long I've been racing for myself. But they weren't fast. They were close racing, but you look back now and go, that was a fantastic time to race and be part of the RC community. And I suppose that's where being part of Hobbies Direct really wants to get involved in that and be part of this great event. So we're all looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to reliving some of my youth, at a much older age.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
Yep, that's it's pretty awesome because as we're saying, or as you might not be aware, everyone out there, the Hobbies Direct has with Nick driving has come on board with Vintage Bash 4, and is one of our major sponsors, which is pretty awesome. So Lou and I had and Aaron and Daff, who might be joining us later. Actually, by the way, guys, we had was it privilege or honor being invited by Nick down to visit Hobbies Direct and showed us around, which was very impressive. Very cool business there. And you guys, Nick, you've come on board. So I don't know if you wanted to sort of say a few words about your take on Hobbies Direct and the vintage, I guess, scene or vintage products, and how you'd like to see it panned out for you guys and for VB4.
Yeah, look, thanks Phil, again. It was great to have you guys down, and apologies for the it's not the closest destination, and I know that the ride home wasn't the easiest. I know that took you how long? A couple of hours to get home from Geelong.
Yeah, mine was okay. I think Lou and Daff it was close to a couple of hours or more.
I'm sure some profanities were set my way on that trip. Look, and I don't want this to be a Hobbies Direct promotion by no means. So I don't want to get into that, but more so just as I spoke and mentioned earlier, that we're just all super keen and super pumped to be part of it for the RC community as a whole. But we all, everyone at HD just loves these vintage cars. The Tamiyas and the Kyoshos and the Lockies, and apologies for those brands that I haven't mentioned, but the key ones that really come to mind. We just want to be part of it. We just want to have fun. We want to come down. We've got a really cool concept of putting things together of how it's going to look like, and have a media center and like an ESPN news desk kind of style commentary set up, and we're going to get have some sort of uniform, to be there. So we're all kind of going all out,
awesome.
Just for the fun part of it. But I think what we want to focus on, and I think you guys have already alluded to, it's not so much about the on-road on the racing on the track. I think it's more about let's go into the pit and just see some of these awesome cars that people have held on to and have maintained, and have just put so much effort into restoring them, and want to showcase them, and the presenting them. I think that's going to be the real cool aspect, and I'm really looking forward to walking through the pits and seeing a 15-year-old Nick going through the pits and having like a little boy giggle every time I see a car. That's great.
Yeah. That is cool. Just that one point there, which is like it takes us back to that time, like reliving our childhood, capturing some of those memories again, which is really cool. So Marshy, you were gonna jump in?
No, Nick earlier talked about the golden age. I think that's a great idea, Nick. You're talking about a media center and walking through the pits, because just having anyone walk through the pits while you're sitting there wrenching on your car, someone comes up to you, except if you're just about you put the car on the track and you've got to get something back on. But having someone come up and have a chat to you, be it about their car, your car, something they saw, was just awesome. Every year I've been to the bash, and that happened, and always met with a smile and a laugh. And I think the 15-year-old Nick is very similar to 15-year-old Nathan. He's just it's just an awesome thing to do, and just trying to get up there to maybe to Cookie and Louie's table and have a look at some of the Losies there and some of the RC10s there.
Actually, we were talking about 15-year-olds. We're talking about 15-year-olds. I found a picture here that I need to share with you boys, in case you haven't seen it. But right here, you got probably like a 13-year-old Andy Cook.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, wait a minute.
that.
We need to get that up on the screen. So bear with me for a sec there, Lou. And I just seen the picture. So yeah, just bear with us, guys, and I'll see what I can do. Okay.
There you go.
Can we see that?
15-year-old Andy Cook. And this would be like a 20-something-year-old Willis Solar.
Is that you in front,
Look
Lou?
at that.
Mate, cool pants, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Another guy that's a regular at the Vintage Bash is Scott McDonald. Have a look at him here. Have a look at that.
Well, we can't
Oh,
see all of that picture. It seems.
There's a David Watson.
Yeah, dates it there. Oh, yeah, there's Watto.
Yeah. There's Ashley Coble.
Oh, we're not getting this refreshed. Let me see.
Oh, there's up the back. That's Michael Bruce up the back. Oh, there he is.
Have a look at it.
Look at it. Oh, what a good-looking chap.
There we go. Hope that's coming through a bit better on the stream now.
Yeah.
Yep, there's Michael Bruce.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
There
And
it is.
this is part of the stories that we tell. That we go back such a long time. A lot of us, this would have been. I'm going to stick my neck out and probably say it was like 91.
Yeah.
91.
Judging
And a
by
lot
the-
of these guys are still, we still race with them.
Do you want to zoom back? We might have missed the earlier bits. Do you want to zoom back in that photo, Lou, to the other guys?
Yeah, sure. Scotty McDonald. We've got Jeremy. We've
Tim
got
Worm.
the Knox track builder, Trent McClure. We've got Ash Coble,
Ash Coble, awesome.
Dave Watson.
Oh, yep.
This is a guy that I'm trying to get out this year, Neil Millard. If you're watching, get your stuff together.
Get the cashews out.
You're going to start
Myself,
now.
obviously. A good looking bloke.
Those pants, mate.
Here's a bloke that you guys know well, Grant Sereno.
Is that Grant? Oh my
Have
god,
a look at him.
Grant with hair. Jeez.
eh?
Got milk.
Beautiful.
Love machine.
Just an observation, guys. Just as I'm looking as you're panning through these photos of these individuals, and it really just it really sets home the kind of racing that we had. It was all about fun because how much you don't see many sponsored T-shirts, sponsored caps, or the team outfits. It's you got some Reebok there. You got a guy in milk. You got guys with funny pants, Lou. But there's not much team shirts or team caps out there. So it really goes to show that we're just there just to have fun. Not to brag. Who I'm a sponsored driver or look who I'm sponsored by.
Mm.
It's funny you bring that up because it's a conversation that I had earlier today with somebody, and we touched on this. I went away from the hobby for probably 10 years. I stopped racing nitro on road and went back to electric on road and then to off road. And one of the things that really stood out for me was the way that the face shift into what happened at the track. So when we used to, back in these days, all we used to do is just go to the track, have a bit of fun with your mates. And we wouldn't be so serious about it until it was the state titles or a nationals or something big. Every other time, it was just like a test and tune session and a hang out and talk crap. When I went to race to one of the recent events, I found that it was everybody was sponsored. Everybody was walking around with their shirts with their names on them, and it was like every event, even a club day, was like a really serious world championship stuff, you know. So we called it the Clubby Worlds, and it wasn't far from the truth. The social media, I think, is that a big effect on that. People just have this need to have a result to justify that they had a good time, you know. Whereas back then we didn't care. Like it was just, oh yeah, you won, go home, and we'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Lou. There was that social media that we have now is there's a real presence there. You need to show that, hey, I'm a sponsored driver, and it's all about the brand awareness, and look who I race for and look who I represent.
Exactly.
And there was none of that even when I was racing back in late when I first started racing in '88, I think it was, and there was none of that. I just rocked up in dirty trackies and had my Tamiya F103, I think it was, when I first started. Back at Templestowe. Just a bit of history. The Templestowe track had the on-road and off-road track with the stand in the middle. And that's where I met Cookie and Lou back in the day. I think you guys were running both. From memory, you were doing off-road with Greg Collins. He was the president there. And Renato and I were president and vice president of the on-road track. We took over, and that's where we just hung out, just having fun. And now it's all become a bit serious, but there's a place for it, and if that's what people want to do, that's what people want to do.
But that place isn't the Vintage Bash.
Yep.
Correct.
No, that's
Hence
right.
what you guys are doing.
Yep, I think it's more talk about it than post about it at the Vintage Bash.
Yeah.
Posting's still good, of course. Like when there's heaps of pictures of all the old cool cars, and half of them I didn't even know existed, and the other half haven't seen since then. That's the type of post that we want to see.
Yeah, definitely.
So, Marshall, what can you tell us about the muster that you guys got coming up?
Well, yeah, Lou, it's and thanks for having me on to talk about it too. It's as well as discuss other things, but well, we've based it. I think as the years have gone by from Bash 1 to where we are now, I think we've done similar things with our club meets up here at Chargers. So we've sort of had in the past a run for fun class, two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive, and then competition classes. Run for fun, typically that earlier stuff like the Tamiyas and early Kyoshos, and competition more your later cars. But still some of the, the Optima Mids in the middle, that sort of thing as well. And we've adapted sort of as you guys have changed. Like last year at the Bash 3.0, where you had the different eras, we've sort of based the Vintage Muster, which is our standalone event for vintage. We've sort of based that on the Bash. And just some slight little changes, just like you've made some changes to that. We just sort of made some changes, and we're trying to sort of slip it into a 2-day. It's a 3-day event, but a practice on the Friday, and then the race day, two-wheel drive, and then four-wheel drive day, Saturday and Sunday. So basically the schedule there going from practice all the way through to four-wheel drive day, we've wanted to have some more of the trucks. So we've created another class there to sort of encompass some latter day vintage, so to speak. So we've got the vintage trucks just like we've had at the Bash before, which has been great. Like you had their own day pretty much the last couple of years, which I thought was brilliant. And so we've sort of included that in the two-wheel drive day with the pre-97 vintage trucks, which is sort of up to including like T2, double XTs, that sort of thing being the top of the tree. And then on the Sunday, we've got another class like 97 through to 2007, which is sort of like your T3s, T4s, triple XTs. So, and even like I've got a Kyosho Type R ST, which is a bit of fun. I want to throw that out on the track as well. And hopefully we can encourage some Queenslanders and some people from down south like yourself to come on up and some things that are still vintage, like we're talking 20-year-old trucks here. So some of these things that are just sitting on the shelf and sort of caught in between, they can throw those on the track and have a go with those as well.
Yeah.
But that's trucks anyway. But then we've just we called it the Muster. We'll go back to that. We called it the Muster because it's more like, I've heard you guys talk, and you've had Scotty Guide on before and talking about RC, RC meets are like bringing the tribe together. And so I did my thesaurus thing on the computer. What's a good word for bringing the tribe together? And a muster came up, and it sort of stuck with me.
A muster of nerds.
A muster of nerds.
It's a collective.
That's pretty much it. So we came up with the vintage muster, sat down with Jeno. People have come up and get, I'd love to run a mod motor. Oh, I want to run my mod motor. Well, you can run that in any class in a brushed. But some people are like, yeah, but what if I want to run, brushless? And I'm like, me personally, I think it's way too much power.
Yeah.
Way too much power. But we thought, well, let's put your money where your mouth is. If you want to run whatever brushless you want, then we've got sheep stations, which is the last one. So we've called that the people who want to race for sheep stations. You run in that. You can run your B4s, but you can run anything, but everything's open. And I probably tempted, for me, just run a 17.5 in a two-wheel drive in that. And that'll do me. That's sheep stations for me. But if someone wants to throw a 10.5, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, you'd be prepared to spend some time on eBay looking for parts.
Yeah, that's right.
Something will let go.
Yeah, exactly. And on the track that we've got up here, it's a good sized track. Like, I think Lou and Andy, you guys came up. I don't know if you've seen it, Nick, but we had a very small track, sort of like built at the end of the main track, and it was a crosswards. Well, this one's like 3 times the size now. It's awesome. A good sized track. It's nowhere as big as Knox, but Knox doesn't utilize all the available space. There's a lot of infield, whereas we've utilized a lot of space.
Was it? Did you base the track on a world's track or something like that?
We did initially. Like Jeno said, you go for it, Marsha. You design it. Away you go. It's your baby. So I sort of looked at the available space and looked at some of the camera angles from a few of those videos of the 97 IFMAR Worlds. I think it was in California and at the Ranch Pit Shop.
Oh, yeah.
And it had enough width for it and depth to do the 4 lanes, but there was a switchback on the far left we just couldn't fit in. And if you know the World's track, it doesn't have a main straight. It sort of has 2 straights, one at the back left and one at the close right, with a diagonal coming through. So we did that. We started with that, and we just noticed you couldn't get full stick at any point, and that's even with a 21.5. So we just, by doing a simple little change on the far left, we just made it switch back and then come on to a front straight. And we just love the front straight. It's great seeing it. Everyone's head just look down and across really rapidly, and it flows really well now, and plenty of people come off that stand with smiles.
Is there anyone pulling wheel stands, Smarshy?
There are a couple, particularly over the tabletop, but there are the straight starts at a downhill, so it's hard to get that wheel stand there, but I'm sure you can do it, Lou.
I'll give it a go. Ask Scotty Guy, he'll tell you.
Yeah, I think he gave it a go. He did well. He did it justice in his Cougar 2, in his works. He loved it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, so it's good. So there's I think with the Muster, we've sort of done that Stockman class, and we're making those 6-minute races. Like, the batteries now can last it. I think back in the day we had 6-minute races. They were longer races to start with, and we've made that pre-87, so anything up to including 86, 2-inch wheel limit, 5.4, you know, silver cans, any silver cans, so a torque tuned, sports tuned, any of those. You know, we want to see that class incorporate short arm RC10s, that sort of thing. But the Optima Mid, we want to push that out of that group into the next one. Yeah.
Perfect. Actually, while Andy was scrolling through all these pictures, I saw something, and I'll bring this up because this is something that we're going to be doing at the Vintage Bash. You guys are the pioneers of the Hornet Evo class. We come up with the idea, and you guys have taken it on board and are flying with it.
Well,
tell us a bit about it.
Oh, well, I got my first driver one, Lou, last meet.
Yep.
Clubby. And you know Denson, he does like to persuade someone to buy something. He's very persuasive. So come last final, his mate Jason Mole, who's a new vintage fan, he's got a Hornet Evo. He's thrown it into my hand, the radio, and said, "You drive it." And he's TQ'd with his Hornet Evo. So I'm like, "Yeah, beautiful. I'm starting off in 1. I'll go to 8 in rapid fashion." And to my surprise, I was sitting there out the front with Jason Ryan for a while. And I thought, I'm really starting to enjoy this. And it's only got a 540 in it. It's got the kit, everything.
Yep.
And it just suited the track. And I went from 2nd through to 8th with one little bump. And then from 8th back to 3rd. And good old mate Jeno, I think on the very last lap, knowing that he wants to buy one, he's allowed enough room on the last corner just for me to bump up the inside and get second place off him. So I know you're watching, Jeno, and I know what you did. And it'll probably work, and I'll probably buy one.
Mission accomplished.
But plenty of people will buy one after seeing that racing with these, because it was just so close. It was like Nick mentioned before. Everyone had a 540. It was close racing. Wasn't the fastest racing, but everyone will be wanting that close, slower, but still fun. Yeah.
And it almost, even though it's not vintage, there's a definite connection, don't you think?
Yep, indeed.
Yeah, definitely. I think is it DTO2 front and rear end?
Something like that. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. Maybe one of the Tamiya purists that's watching may be able to answer it.
Yeah. I think one of the boys turned up with a holiday buggy re-release. Might have been David Guyett, who we've named the track after, by the way. It's now the David Guyett Heavy D dirt track. So that's his name. But he rocked up with a holiday buggy, definitely the front and rear end, with like an adaptation kit at the back. Yeah, and I've seen his holiday buggy go around. It goes around well. Yeah, but no, we'll be running that at the muster. We've got that aptly named the Squatters. So it's on the vintage turf. So we've got the Squatters there, the Hornet Evo class. That'll be run on the Sunday. So I trust you'll be bringing yours up, Lou.
I reckon I will.
Yeah, nice. I think we might have, geez, if it gets up to 20, we'll have 2 heats. If it stays around 15, we might just throw them all in together.
Pretty popular.
Yeah, no, it's a good class. But no, it's going to be popular. It's a good way for people to sample it, and a very inexpensive way for people to get into vintage, or vintage-like retro.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing with the Hornet Evo. It kind of captures the essence of vintage. Gives us the same feeling. It's not a top line modern racing car. It's never going to perform as well as anything current does, and it's not intended to, of course. And yeah, technically it's not vintage, but it still gives us the fun, the laughs, kind of captures the essence of it.
Yeah, it definitely does. It certainly looks the part, and it feels vintage when you drive it around the track. It just it just feels that way. It's like,
and the sound of Tamiya tires.
Yeah, yeah, skipping across the surface. Yeah, really biting in. Yeah, but they work. They work. I remember people used to glue bits onto those spikes back in the day. Did you
Oh,
ever
what?
see that, Lou?
No, it used to be
Yeah.
take those tires clean off, put them straight in the bin, and get the UG tires.
No, I remember someone cut some rubber bits and glued them all on.
Oh well.
I don't think it lasted a lap, and they were all off. They'd flung off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not surprised. Can't say I remember
Not
or
surprised.
seeing that, but it sounds pretty crazy.
No, no, I am from Queensland, remember, so I don't know what they get up to up here. So,
Gluing little
yeah,
spikes on tires, apparently.
gluing spikes on tyres.
Yep.
Yeah, but yeah, no, the Vintage Bash. So 3 days. That's 1st of August through to 3rd of August. There, if you look on, jump on chargersrc.net. You go through the link there to the events, and it is a big spiel on all the
So where do we go?
spot on there.
Events and then vintage.
Yeah, yeah, and then vintage. Or if you just jump onto the straight onto the homepage, there's a massive vintage muster symbol. Tap on that. You can enter through that.
Oh,
You can
genius.
see who's racing. Yeah, so you can jump on that. Then you can see who's racing, or you can enter. And then you can see the whole spiel on all the different classes.
Yep.
And everything. There's something for everyone. And we may, depending how numbers go, we may get just one heat of certain things. But as long as we've got a minimum of 5 in each class, we'll be happy, and we'll run it as an independent class. So they're sort of filling
And
out.
you've got lights. You got lights there, Marshy.
Yeah, yeah. So David Lawrence, you might be familiar with that name. He's a good fella. So he coordinated that. We got some LED lights, which are sort of like 2 posts on the driver's stand, thrown up, and yeah, so 4 sets of lights, and it's just the right amount, like right on twilight.
Mm.
It's not quite right, but it's like that in a cricket game, right? But it's and then as soon as it gets dark, it's beautiful. It just lights the whole area, and we've got the capability to mount another one on the opposite side. Yeah, but the beauty is the council did put a new set of lights on the main driver's stand that sort of lights that area as well over to the left, and we've got the pit lights as well. So it's all lit. It's all lit. And you know the pit area, Lou, it's world class.
Well, the whole facility's world class.
Yeah.
The MD of probably every club in Australia, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have dirt back. It's good to have dirt back. That's all I can say.
It's off-road, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Yes, indeed. And it's nice. The Stephen Smith helped out in sourcing the dirt, and then throw that whacker packer on it, and it comes up beautiful clay. You don't even see the stone. It's back down underneath.
Yeah.
And so we'll do a lot of work again before the bash, but you just take a blower to it now, and it's beautiful to drive on dry. But if you give it a hose just before, it's just beautiful all through the night. No blowing needed.
No, awesome.
Yeah.
Nick, I'm going back to you. We're talking about the Hobbies Direct Media Centre. And I'll take you back to the conversation we had with the guys from RC Race Media, where we, right at the end of the conversation, we were talking about how in the normal coverage, the coverage is usually the racing, and then in the interruptions, they do the interviews. And when we said to them, dude, you're going to be doing the interviews, and then interruptions, you're going to be showing back to the racing. And they were like, oh, is that what you guys want to do? And we're like,
yeah, it kind of blew their mind because it's counterintuitive of what they're probably used to, where everything's about racing first and interruptions, are later. But this is, let's focus on the interruptions first, and then the racing gets in the interruption when needed. So yeah, it's the format that they're not really familiar with, but I'm sure it's going to make for great viewing. So great. Fantastic that you got RC Media on board. Big shout out to Mr. Firth for coming together and putting the event, coming all the way down to Melbourne and to Knoxville.
Yeah, and that's Matt and Tony, who decided to come with us. Unfortunately, our event apparently clutches with some other event, the On-Road Nationals or something.
Haven't heard of it.
There has been a couple of requests for us to move the date, and unfortunately, it cannot be done.
That's a shame.
Unfortunately for the guys that have decided that they want to go to Perth, because we nominated this date probably a good 6 months ago. There's people that have bought plane tickets. There's accommodation that's been booked. There's catering that's been organised and everything for this date. So we can't move our date, and we're not going to move our date.
So they're still on board though, aren't they?
100%, yeah, they're with us. So yeah, we were looking forward to see what they put out, because we've taken them a little bit out of their comfort zone, obviously.
Yeah.
But look, it should be really good. And as I touched on earlier, all these vintage cars come with a history. And whether it's a history of the person that's got the car, whether it's a history of the car itself, how they came to get into the vintage scene, whatever. Like it all makes for really good viewing, because we're touching on what is the beginning of off-road racing. Marshy, what was your first car?
Oh, to me, a hot shot. Gabba Hobbies, 1985. I was looking over that counter, and they had a Mugen Bulldog, and they had what else did they have up there? There was a few other Tamiya's up there, older ones. And then the guy goes, "Oh, we just got this in," and he walks out. And do you reckon he just got it in, or do you reckon he does this to everyone? And he walks out of the back there with the hot shot box art, and I've just gone, "Yeah, that's it, Dad. That's the one."
Did you get a clockwork charger or quick charge leads?
Quick charge leads, the fiery ones. Yeah, I think I found them melted on Barry Putty's battery of his car there at Griffith Road, Ipswich. The PYC or whatever, it's a Police Citizens Youth Club track on Griffiths Road. But that was my club in '85, and the hot shot was just beautiful. Having to throw those into corners, and just a 540 can, saved up to get the HP suspension kit for it. The plastic shocks, dual shocks up the front, dual shocks at the rear.
Were they oil filled or?
They were oil filled. Yeah,
they
were oil filled, and but they worked beautifully. And then sadly that one got a bit flogged out, and then I saved up all summer to get the Turbo Optima, and that was brought back from another friend over there. It's back when Singapore, you had to go and get all your cheap stuff from Singapore. Duty free was something back then. And that came back with a Machine A radio, which I didn't expect at all. But I sent him with enough money for a car, and he could afford the radio with it as well. And those Sanwa radios wouldn't have been cheap back then.
And stick, of course.
Nah, it was stick with the Dash 2 I had with the hot shot, and then I went to the pistol grip for the Turbo Optima. So I converted pretty quick.
Stop.
Yeah. It was good fun.
And Nick, your first on-road car was up?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I'm the odd one out here because I'm more of a non-roader. But I have to say that I have vivid memories of friends who had off-road cars, that bought off-road cars, and they were just banging them around on dirt roads. And it was actually a Hornet and a Grasshopper that they were racing around, and I was just like in awe. I think I had to pick up my jaw from off the ground of how much I fell in love with them. So the connection I have is either with the Grasshopper, a Hornet. So I think I might have to buy myself a super, Hornet Evo.
Hornet Evo. Come out and have a steer.
Have a run. I know that's what the boys at HD are doing. They're putting together a Hobbies Direct livery with the Hornet Evo shell and other bits and pieces. So they're going all out. But yeah, I'll join you guys with the Hornet Evo.
So good.
I think a few Queenslanders are popping down with them. I think 5 people have got Hornet Evos heading to the bash. So that's just 5 from up here. So I don't know how many you want on the track down there, but it's going to be a few.
It's going to be a logistical, interesting challenge, I think, which will be awesome.
Yeah,
Build it and
that's
they'll
right.
come.
Yeah, yep. And for those guys
That's
out there
right.
that want a reference for our Hornet Evo class, it's pretty simple again. I think Lou mentioned it. It's pretty much out of the box. A couple of minor things you can do for a bit of robustness and reliability. But yeah, if you go to the vintage, oh, there we go. It's gradually coming back again. Which is interesting. Sorry, it dropped out there for a bit, I think. But yeah, if you guys want to see what the class is about, sorry, we dropped out there a bit, guys. I think we're back. Yeah, so if you want to see what the class is about, there's a link here. You can click on this image, and you'll get the so-called rules for the Hornet Evo class, which is keep it stock, build it, chuck it on the track, and have fun.
Do they come with the Hornet Evo? Does it come with that Tamiya pinion that flogs out quickly, like the Hot Shot kits did?
No, they're a little bit better now.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, there is there's an option pinion you can put on it, which is 2 teeth higher. I think it's 19 versus
19.
17. It'll probably make 0 difference, but yeah, there's that option there. And I think the servo saver is a bit soft, so you can swap the servo saver over if you need to as well. Otherwise, yeah, basically standard out of the box.
Yeah. Probably tuning option 17 tooth for the muster, 19 tooth for knobs at the bash.
Yeah, sounds good.
That's probably the
And it'll be
massive change that you'll make.
Yeah, it'll be exactly the same.
Yep.
There's a couple of little things you can actually do that makes it better. And at some stage between now and the date of the Vintage Bash, I might do like a little write-up and post up on the Vintage Bash page. And it's all just using the kit parts. I may as well tell you now that they bumps to you terribly when you build them as per the instructions. And it's just a matter of moving the outer pivot from the top of the arm to the bottom of the that gets rid of 90% of the bumps. And then the kit tells you to build them with 3-hole pistons, which is way too soft. So if you go to like I think it's a 1-hole piston, it makes it actually feel like it's got damping. Other than that, just out of the box and have a bit of fun.
Nice.
Send some pictures through, Lou. I'll be interested to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Yeah,
I'm yet to build mine, so they're good tips. We've had a few dropouts, as you guys have probably noticed. So sorry about that. But
We've got a few comments and questions there, Cookie, too.
Yeah, if I missed some, as I said, I'm all over the place tonight. But what have we got? What have we got, Lou?
I don't know. I need to scroll through them. Someone was asking who styles your hair. That was
Me.
earlier.
Me or?
You're not sponsored for hair products.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, how's that? The hair is actually styled by the headphones at the moment. So yeah, very stylish.
There's someone there asking why Marshy has 2 chins.
Oh, that's my Adam's apple. Come on.
They may be confusing Marshy and me. One with the 2 chins.
What is Margie?
I got an excuse. I'm not
Is
a
that,
60.
who asked that? Was that Grub? It's probably because I wore that shirt. Reverse. Yeah. That's all the way from Bash. Taking it off since.
Well, we got a lot
Lou,
of
I got
breakup then. I don't know if you want to repeat that. It might have been edited out.
Oh, really? Lou, that's something. It's a Solar Speed special, that one.
Turbo Rocky.
Turbo Rocky. That's inspired by you.
Oh, look at that custom top deck.
Custom top deck so I can do the battery.
Yep.
through there as well. Haven't mounted the servo yet, but I've got the boost body there ready to go.
Yeah.
Which
Okay,
yours looked so good when you came up for the carnival that year. I noticed you've saved it. You haven't run it. Did you run it, Bash?
good. I may have done.
Got
No,
so
not
many
last
more.
time. The one before that I did.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Not the last bash, but the one before that I gave it a run.
That was one of your what ifs.
Yeah, I did. I did a little bit. I do every now and then. I do a little what if, because we all know back in those times there was a lot of prototypes and one-off cars and like the stealth car that Andy sort of put together himself. That was all one-off, and a manufacturer that really they did a few things, but it didn't go out of their way was Kaisho, and I go back a long way with Kaisho. One of my first cars with a Kaisho, I had an Optima. And quite often in the history of RC, Kaisho did their little, like for example, that ZXR Evo or something that's so hard to get hold of. But in the early days, there was a lot of custom-made stuff that guys would do themselves. And one of the cars that sort of came to mind was the Kaisho Rocky, because that was, as you remember, that went from an Optima, which was a rear motor, to Optima Mid. It was a mid motor because that was all the rage. But at the same time that the Optima existed, the Rocky also existed, and that was already a mid motor.
Yeah.
So it sort of bewildered me a little bit as to why Kaisho didn't grab that platform and make that into a race car.
Yeah.
So that's what I did my first what if. What if Kaisho had stuck with the Rocky and raced that at the 87 Worlds?
With the chain drive still.
With the chain drive, yeah. So that was that year. And then I've got the one I'm doing for this year was what if Mike and Steve Dunn from AYK Race Prep didn't actually switch from Kaisho to Race Prep. Sorry, from Kaisho to AYK and stuck with the Optima. So I've done like a little bit of a modified Optima, but it's all modified in the spirit of what could have possibly been done in that era.
Yep. Yeah. No, looking forward to seeing that. Very nice. I noticed you've got the paint schemes already done, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I've got. I mean, I showed it last time. I've got the car still here. You've seen it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, just cool. That's a cool set of stuff that I like to bring out, and I'm sure there are other guys that are doing similar sort of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. We certainly love hearing about it when you're there commentating down there. So don't hold back.
Yep.
Maybe have a mic at your mouth while you're driving it.
I'm gonna get this year. I'm gonna. There's a couple of cars that I want to try to actually make work properly, because quite often, and this gets back to what we talk about, the Vintage Bash not being a race meeting. Well, it isn't. We all race and we all have a bit of fun and don't take it too serious. Quite often, we'll just grab a car, put it on the bench, set up a ride height, make sure it's got a servo and stuff, and then just throw it on the track and not do any type of setup. So we're fighting the way that the car's handling just to get it around the track. But it's really good when you actually see one that's been set up properly and been driven to, Johnny Perkins had a 6-gear RC10 last year with a little 1.7 wheels, and that thing was flying. So that's always good to see, that sort of stuff.
Yep. No, definitely. It'd be nice to see a full fleet of them down there.
Oh, yeah.
Those short arm RC10s.
Yep.
It was a massive change when everyone was driving Wild Ones and Sand Scorchers and Foxes even, and then all of a sudden, bam, RC10 on the track.
Well, there were two cars, I think, that really changed it. It was the RC10 and the Optima. Because I remember everybody, at that stage, we were running 2 and 4-wheel drive together. And it was, you either had a hot shot or you were nowhere.
Yeah.
Because a Hornet couldn't keep up with a hot shot. A Frog couldn't keep up with a hot shot. And then we had things like the Mugen Bulldog that came out. That was quite good. But the big change was the RC10 and then obviously the Optima soon after.
Yeah.
And then it just boom from there.
Yeah, so we've got a question there from Anthony. He is wondering when the nominations for the Bash are opening.
At this stage, no stage soon. I'm going to say it'll probably be middle of October at the earliest.
the nominations?
Well, if you're interstate, overseas, quite free. Just nominate. Not so much interstate. It's more about the overseas guys. So we did put up a form a couple of weeks ago, and the idea behind that is if you know somebody that's coming from overseas and they've booked flights and accommodation, we'd hate to be the guys to say, hey, the entries are full now, you can't run that class. So we invited people to actually put a nomination in to say that you're coming, so we can make sure that we've got that spot put aside for you. Interstate's not such a big deal because we'll have plenty of classes you can run. But it's more about the overseas guys.
Yeah, so that form was for the internationals. I think interstaters could fill out the form as well if they want, so it's all good.
That's yeah, you can fill it, but that won't guarantee you anything. Obviously, the first port of call is going to be the international guys, and everyone else can follow suit.
Yep. So entries for the bash. So we've got the bash, which starts end of October.
I reckon, yeah,
So
probably by the middle of October they'll be up.
Want to do it? Is it that late? Is it into a couple of weeks before the event?
What did we do last time? It was Father's Day, wasn't it?
I think it was about maybe August, end of August, start of September.
Father's Day, September.
Start of September, I think.
Yeah, we may bring it
Start
forward
of September. Yeah.
We'll bring it forward. We'll give you guys plenty of notice when we're going to do it.
Yep. Yeah, and I think everybody don't worry about sort of missing out. We'll make sure everybody gets something. We're going to make sure that people aren't entering like 15. Well, there's not 15 classes, but not entering every single class to potentially take up a spot that somebody else might want. So, so I think our message is probably don't freak out too much. You won't miss out. But obviously, when we announce, make sure you get your entries in, and we'll make sure that we can accommodate as best as we can where your entries can go. We might have to do a little bit of tweaking or adjusting of it depending on numbers in the various classes, because obviously we've got the constraint of about 13 races per round in a given day. Kind of maxes out the 4 rounds for the day, like four races, and that's kind of the constraint that we're working towards. But we'll make sure that we can try and squeeze people in where it's possible.
So one of the reasons that we did a poll earlier in the year, and this is something that we can discuss as well. We did a poll early in the year to try to judge which way you guys wanted to do the event. And again, as Andy said, we've got 13 races to get through per round. So if most people are going to want 3 heats and a final, or 4 runs on the track at the very least, each race is close to 10 minutes. So 13 races, that's 130 minutes. So that's a bit over 2 hours. Multiply that by 4, that's 8 hours. So if we start at 8:30, that's 5:30 by the time we finish. So it's quite a long day. So how can we get around it the best way possible, and also allow people to not only just race, but also mingle and see some of the other stuff. If we left it open, I guarantee you there'd be one person that would be wanting to run 2 cars in every class. So you'd literally be either on the driver's stand or charging a battery the whole day. You wouldn't have time to go and do anything. So one of the reasons we limited people to run only 2 classes per day was to allow time between races, so you actually could race, get your car ready, go and mingle around, go and get something to eat, watch some of the racing, and then go and do your next race. And then we're fairly stringent with that one. Last year we were allowing everyone to run 5 classes. This year we're going to turn it down to 4, and we're going to allow you to nominate for a 5th. So if we've got enough places that we can pick you in, your name will go into a draw, and you'll be notified that yes, you were successful. Bring your car down and stick it in. But less is more, and obviously because we're going to get a heap of entries this year, we thought that's going to be the smartest way to do it, so you can still run. Now, that doesn't stop you from running multiple cars in the one class. So, for example, if you were going to run a pre-88 class or something, and you had a 6 gear R6M, there's nothing stopping you from running a Tomahawk in another run. So you could run a 60 RC10 in one and a Tomahawk on the other one, or you could run a Kaisha Optima in one race and a Hot Shot in the other. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Provided that the cars are from the same era, knock yourself out.
I think last year, I think everyone ran pretty well last year. I think everyone was keen to get on, keen to get off. Where I did notice the only little shortfalls was someone, say, forgetting a transponder to put in, or that sort of thing, or waiting for one person. Everyone was up there. If everyone's on song and let's run it smooth, we won't be able to stop and wait. Come on, guys, let's go. I think it'll flow well.
So, Marshy, that's one of the reasons we decided to go with the Reedy race format as well, because what that allows us to then do is generate random grids right from the very start. So we can actually do a race order from the get-go. So we'll have a complete race with your race position, your transponder number, everything already pre-organized before we actually start the event. So the onus will be on you to make sure that you're at the track with the correct transponder in if you want it to count.
Yeah.
If you don't want it to count, just put your card in and have a bit of fun.
That'll be me.
And actually,
that'll be me this year.
Talking of Marshy, Scotty G, Action RC, has a question for you there. Not sure if you actually mentioned it before, but he wants to know what your all-time favourite car is.
All-time favourite car?
Is that like real car or RC car? I'm not sure.
Oh, well, real car, 68 Mustang.
There we go.
And, geez. Oh,
the fastback or the notchback?
It's the fastback, mate. It's the GT390. We'll talk more about full-size cars later, mate. We'll be here all night otherwise. And talking about yours as well. But, no, I mean, I have never driven one, so I can't say it's the Laser ZXS. I have never driven one. I've just got it on the shelf, but I will be building one. But all-time favourite car?
That's a tough question.
I don't think I can pick one. Yeah. How about you, Lou? Can you pick an all-time favourite RC car?
All-time favourite RC car? I've got so many.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be a Losi.
Yeah.
It's going to be a Losi. It'll probably. I'm going to say Jarrett's Pro SE. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the first car that came out with the composite chassis.
And that's not the trailing arms, right? That's
no, that's a bit newer than that. Yep. And that was the first car with a hydro drive.
Okay. Yeah, the hydro drive. So that was sought after. Where was the IFMA where they bought them all up?
93.
93.
Yep.
Well, they had the hydro drive at the 91 IFMA, which gave Losi a tremendous advantage, but unfortunately, Masami won that run. But Losi had clearly the faster car, Andy Cook.
The video shows it. I mean,
the video shows it. And then for 93, Losi shot themselves in the foot by allowing the competitors to race. The competitors that raced there access to the Losi Hydro Drive from the local hobby shop. So at the 93 Worlds, that was in England, and Losi had the Double X, the Double X debut, the Joel Johnson, put it on position, and the associated cars were nowhere until one of the guys fitted a Hydro Drive to their car and found that this was the way to get around the track. And one Brian Kimwald put that Hydro Drive on and wiped the floor with everybody.
Yeah. He only just snuck into the A final with it, I think, that morning, like the last qualifier.
Yeah.
He was like 7th or 8th on the grid, I believe. And then, just...
Then he got two wins in the finals.
Yeah, it was carnage. If you watch the videos of those...
There was carnage.
It was extremely bumpy and rough track, and there was cars bouncing everywhere.
Also, in one of those finals, I'm positive one of those cars in the top 4 jump starts.
Oh.
I'm positive. If you have a look at that, I was watching that. I was waiting to hear them say, now, penalty stop or something.
Yep.
and nothing. And I went, whoa, how did they miss that?
Right, check the video.
But anyway, yeah. Have a look. I don't think it was in the third final. I think it was the first or second. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Yep. That's yeah, it's online, that one on YouTube, for people
Yep.
that want to check it out.
That's the one.
Was it Robbie Bobstar? Robbie, his favourite, I assume this is his favourite car, Predator. And
Oh yeah, Predator.
Oh, yeah.
yep, that's pretty cool. And Daz, Darren reckons the Pro SE changed the game. I think you'd agree, Lou.
It did, especially when you look at the car and you realise that it was designed in 1991, 1992, and you can almost link it straight to the current stuff, like the materials that Losi used in that car and the design is just way ahead of its time.
Was it Stiff as L?
Stiff as L, yeah. That's a graphite infused
as L.
plastic.
Ooh.
They still use that. They still use that name, don't they, with their
Yeah.
arms?
Yep.
Yeah.
It was actually a Predator on-road car. Is that a similar chassis?
Losi.
I think so.
Was that the Predator?
Oh,
Yeah, there's a Predator that came out as an on-road car,
Yes, it did.
and that was
Yeah.
a bit of a
technology.
as well.
Yeah.
Exactly the same, but short arm version.
Yeah, I think the on-road one had a couple of weak points in it, unfortunately. Was it front rocker or front suspension?
Yeah, it was a
And-
rocker arms.
Oh,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
weak
like pretty
points.
awesome car otherwise. But yeah, unfortunately, I think it got a bit of a bad rap because of that.
Has anyone raced one? Have we seen one at the Bash? Yeah, a Predator?
I raced one. I haven't seen one for a long time.
No. They are so rare to see now. I owned one at one point.
Find us some pictures.
I never got to run it. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I just, I only hold on to cars. I think they've got to mean something to me now. So,
Yeah.
and a Predator doesn't mean anything to me. So,
Wow.
better in someone else's hands. Like Nick's, maybe.
Well,
To get him out there.
Don't worry, the Hornet Evo, he's probably coming shortly.
Good stuff.
Hands full with the Hornet Evo.
Yeah. Hey guys, just to change it up a little bit. Any thought of running an on-road bash at some point, just for
I
S and
think-
Gs?
I think that could be the next thing to look at because I'm sure there are a lot of people that have got meaningful on-road vintage cars too.
Yeah.
And we know of a place in the other side of the bay that has an indoor on-road track, which would be perfect for something
I
like that.
wonder which track that is. Lou.
Yeah.
Man, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds a long way away, but I think we can do the drive. Yeah,
Maybe not for me. It's not. It doesn't sound like, but for you.
that's perfect. Oh, on road. It's a little segue. One moment. Chat amongst yourselves.
All
I
right.
think Andy would have his 1/12 scale, wouldn't he? Didn't he do some 1/12 scale on road
Yeah.
for a while?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's
Yeah.
a gun. He's a gun at it.
Yeah, that's it.
I have. So I guess we could put a little call out as a segue. I think the Masters next year at Templestowe, as well. There's a few of us that are informally thinking to sort of organically make a vintage on road class, either a class or we'll just run in 21.5. Yeah, so we'll go thinking of that. So yeah, if any guys out there are interested in doing that, it'll probably be, again, no rules, 21.5 class. We'll see if we can find some standard bodies like a Stratus or a Mazda 6 maybe, if they're being
Alfa Romeo.
remade. Yep, so
Yeah.
something there. Hopefully something's being remade these days. Yeah, and then we'll just sort of run them not too fast so we don't break them all. Yeah, so Rudy rocked up at Knox the other day and extremely generously handed out, was it 2 or maybe 3 cars? And I think it was it was a Pro 2 or an RS4 as well that Lou might be the recipient of. And I was very fortunate to get an old Corrales C4, which is what this is.
Oh wow.
a lot of you might not know what that is, but if you do, yeah. So I raced for Crowley back in the, when was it? 2000, I think. 2000 for a few years. And yeah, this was their first 10 scale car, which was, we ran on foam tyres basically. And I went to the Worlds in 2000 in Japan, and I think I raced the Yokomo MR4 TC then. And I met the guys from Crowley and with HEI connection. I started to run for Crowley, which was this car initially, which was awesome on foams, not so good on rubber tyres, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, just a little segue there. We might see how that goes next year, and then something else. Yeah, like as you're saying, the Geelong indoor track might be a pretty cool, fun place to do something similar.
Yeah, love to have you guys down here. It'd be awesome. Sorry, Andy, is it possible to zoom in on that? It's a bit small on my screen, and I don't know if the viewers will be able to see it either.
Yes, I will. Bear with me for a sec, and what can I do? I'll see if I can make myself large. So
I think on road, didn't they used to back like vintage on road? They used to have the realistic body shells. Is that correct?
They were definitely more realistic than the current ones, that's for sure.
Now they all look,
yeah,
like they're from the same mold. Obviously for drag coefficient and all of that.
It's a little bit like the stadium trucks, Marshy. Back in the day, they actually looked like a stadium truck, like a ute. Now they look like, I don't know what they look like a shoebox with a wing on the back.
Yeah, all the angles and everything now.
Yeah, there was an era back way back when we used to run Pro 10 and Pro 10 on road, and we used to run with the V8 supercar looking like bodies, and it was Ford versus Holden, and that was so much fun.
I bet you it was popular.
It was huge. Yeah. And I think we were running 10 quads back then. 10 quads on a brushed motor. It was pretty insane with foam tyres, running suntan lotion on the tyres.
Yeah, good old suntan lotion. Don't get me started on Pro 10. We'll be here for another 4 or 5 hours.
No other days, Quickie.
Yep. Brilliant. Yeah, so that's the Crowley C4. I can I don't know if other people are interested. I'll take some photos. It's basically hasn't been touched, so it hasn't been run much, this one. Only a couple of scratches, so I might do some photos and post them up on the sites sometime.
But yes, Nick, to answer your question with regards to vintage and on-road, I think that'll be the next stage, the next big thing for us.
Sweet. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be there's a lot of on-road cars that just lying in cupboards, gathering dust, that I'm sure that they'd love to bring out. Unfortunately, I've sold my. I actually don't know where it is. Trinity Switchblade that I cherished and ran quite a lot. I'm sure many people have got that car because it was an absolute ripper.
Sorry.
Wow, Andy, that's cool.
Yep. Sorry, I don't think I was sharing it properly before. I'm absolutely on fire tonight, so here we go.
So
nice, man.
What year is that one?
About 99 or 2000, I think it came out. The Crowley team raced it at the 2000 Worlds, and then I got it soon after that.
Was that at racing against like Kyosho TF4s and TF5s?
Yep.
I think so. There was like TC3 was just out at that time, the Associated TC3.
Yeah.
And then Yokomo MR4 TC. What else was there? Can't remember the other models at that time, but yeah.
Triple XS.
Triple XS.
Street Weapon. Yeah.
Was that the enclosed drivetrain version?
Yep, the single belt.
Yep. Yeah, and with talking of the bodies, was it Daz there says Alphas, Mazda 6 Stratos. Yeah, so as we're saying, like Mazda 6 and I guess all of those were kind of all based on the real ones, but they actually look like the real cars, which was cool as opposed to today.
Yeah, that's cool. I think the on road these days, like a Hornet Evo class, if you like, they do those truck races, do they? Where you can't change much of on them. Like Tamiya truck racing for on road, that was a
Oh,
thing
yep.
at
The
more recently,
they the
and
TTO2s or something that they
yeah,
run
I
with
think
those.
so.
Yeah.
But I think that they came out with one that, you know how there's the butt face sort of like, what do you call it, the blunt looking truck that's got that's straight up at the front like a Kenworth, if you like.
Here's the man.
Yeah, like that.
GTO 1E, I think it
And then
is.
there's the one with
Yeah,
the engine out the front and it's sloped back.
yeah,
And
yeah.
no one would race that one that looked cooler with the engine out the front because its aerodynamics was stuffed. So everyone went
True.
to the other body. One looked cooler, but the people that buy that and then they drive it and they're not competitive. So yeah, it was interesting how that body shell made such a huge difference.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that's the same with the on road, why they've gone to this modern, you know,
Blob.
modern blob. Yeah.
So on topic of Predator, there's my Predator that I raced at the 2000 Nationals, which was at Knox. In those days, it wasn't round per round. It was fastest time of the day that got you through into the 8. And I was on a really good run and got cleaned up by a back marker, which made me BQ.
Oh no!
I BQ'd that, and then later in the year, I came back with a vengeance and won the TQ'd and won the Vic titles in modified with Predator.
How good was it, Lou?
It was by the time that I got to the end of it, it was really good.
Isn't it amazing? The rocker arms, front and rear, just beautiful geometry.
And you, Lou, you fixed up the rear geometry that we're seeing right there now. Is that right?
Yeah.
You worked out how to make it work?
Yep. It's just the same type of the same issue if you've got a servo and you don't put the servo horn bang in the middle, where you get more throw one way and the other. That sort of carried across to the rear suspension on this car, and you couldn't set it up to be supple enough through the bumps and yet still handle a jump. And we didn't have jumps like we got now back then, but it'd still bottom, it'd still slap out. And like I was just playing on the bench one night, screwing around with different things, and it came to me that the rear rocker arm, which is literally, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but this angle here was incorrect, and I corrected it, and it transformed the car to the point where I actually raced against a guy that was one of my mates, and he was actually the first bash, Simon Badisi, and at that stage he was really, really competitive. He was like an A finalist, and he had a double X4, and I lapped him 2 out of 3 times at the Coleman Cup later that year with a Predator on a rough Knox track.
Incredible.
It was a really good car.
I think there's a mob in the UK currently remaking them to an extent where you need a B74 donor car, so it's not really 100% vintage because it's using the Centaur diff and the front and rear internals. Yeah,
that's awesome, Lou.
That looks so cool. Yeah.
They were super cool. Yeah.
Wow. So what was that? Because they had so many different models, Lou. They had the International, the 98 XKS.
XK, yeah. So this was an ETQ.
Right.
Euro TQ. There you go.
Wow.
It's another one I haven't heard of.
Yeah.
The ETQ.
ETQ.
That's pretty cool history there.
That is pretty cool. You don't see too many of those around.
Yeah. There were a heap of little ideas that we came up with down here that filtered their way to the guys at T-Tech, and whether or not the British drivers found the same things and ended up all the little things that we come up with ended up coming out on this car. Except for the the modified rear shock, you can actually see. You see, it's got like a wedge on one side,
Oh, yeah.
and that changed this angle because that angle used to be like this way.
Oh, right.
Right.
So you get hardly any movement.
You got hardly any movement, yeah. So by doing it this way,
Yep.
the first part of the movement was really fast, and then it slowed.
Yeah.
So
Like,
you
rather
got
than slow,
more,
then slower.
yeah. So you got more piston speed to start with, which gave you the damping.
Yep.
And then like it slowed down and allowed the car to take a little bumps. And 2-stage springs as well.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's got physically 2 springs with a little joiner
Does too.
collar.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
And you had different ones here and different ones in the main one.
Yeah. I wonder why that hasn't caught on a bit more. Or never did catch on.
Is that like an early form of progressive? Like progressive
Yeah,
springs?
well, I guess it would, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like physically 2 pieces as opposed to a single piece progressive spring.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they the Tank Technology also had like little Teflon one-way valves for the pistons, which I guess at that stage would have been a way for them to try to, fix this issue that they had where the car would just bottom slap every time you got it airborne. But very, very, very cool, cool car and a big part of my history in off-road for sure.
Because that was sort of like the TC3. Did that have a similar layout with a spur right at the very back, just forward from the rear diff?
Yep, an inline motor, like north, was it? Longitudinal direction of the motor.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think then the Laser ZX5, which is after the ZXS, that went a similar design.
Shaft was all the rage at one stage.
Yeah. That was their first shaft car for Kyosho, the 4-wheel drive.
Super cool.
Very cool.
Well, what do you reckon, guys? Anything else we want to chat about? Is there any pet puppy dog action going on around
No,
around there, Marshy? Or?
Little Dash has gone to bed.
Yeah.
He's gone to bed. He's the smart one. It's Friday night. He goes to bed normally now before I do, and I find him curled up in the bedroom. But I'll just make mention of the muster. I think that's another thing we stole from the bash. We like the idea of having a lot of fun with the heads up racing, the Reedy format, which you guys are doing for this year at the bash, which I'm really looking forward to at the bash. I reckon that'll just add another element of fun to the whole thing.
I reckon that'll make it much better because we don't need to qualify for 80% of the time or whatever.
So we'll do that. We'll do that on the Sunday up here at the muster. We're doing that for 4-wheel drive day, which you can also run those modern trucks. Well, modern vintage as we're calling them, the Dirt Wranglers, 97 to 2007. So that day will be heads up racing, and 2-wheel drive day will be your standard qualifying and finals. We'll just see how many we can fit in, but won't be as busy as your bash. You guys are going to have to cap. We'll be okay in that regard, but you guys will. I don't know where you're going to cap it after last year's huge effort.
Yeah, was it 365? 364 last year. Yep. So we're going for 365 this year.
I've seen a lot of vintage events where they've stacked the cars on the front straight, but I've never seen a vintage event where they've put it all the way around the outside pipe.
Well, we've had a bit of a discussion. I think for this year, we're not only going to do the big display, but maybe we might get each competitor to grab one car, and everybody stand around the outside of the track and everyone drive one car around the track. Might do like a slow motion parade.
That's not a bad idea.
It'd be something different.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to make a 4-day event of racing, you could do a week event of racing To be honest, it could be bash week. It'd be a long day.
Well, the was it the following Monday, Tuesday? Well, Tuesday is the public holiday for Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, there'll be a lot of
Monday's
us at the
the
track
unofficial
Monday
public
and
holiday.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic images.
Yeah, it looked spectacular. It was definitely the money shot images from the last bash for these cars covering the track.
One thing that we will do different this year is we're going to have sections. So rather than just every single car everywhere, we'll do sections for trucks, sections for the early buggies, sections for the later buggies, four-wheel drives. So it'd be easy to judge too. Like if we're doing obviously we do concourse judging, so
Yes.
we'll put them into groups. It'd be a lot easier.
I had a funny story about the concourse judging. I think Jason Millwood. I had my ZXS, that ZXS Evo, which is a 2001 car.
Yeah.
And it was over there. I think he put it out on the track, and I came back after the judging, and there's a concourse winner in front of it. And I've gone, hang on, it said concourse 1997 to 2000. I said, I can't keep this. First of all, I'm not running the car. Second of all, it's 2001. So I don't know who ended up getting that concourse for that, who the second place was, but I couldn't in my right mind hold on to it. It wasn't right. It didn't feel right. Yeah.
It's like it like a virtual win? As in, it's a cool car. It's old. Who cares?
I think Keith from RC Icons was doing the judging.
Yep.
And he did just pick up a ZXS, I think, this year. So that might have been
left
why
an
I
imprint.
won.
I think he's got more than one.
I think he does.
He's wild.
He's gone crazy on the kiosk shows at the moment.
Yeah. But yeah, that's where we are at the moment.
Yep.
Not next week, the week after, in a fortnight, we'll be on again. Maybe we'll get Scotty Guide on Andy Cook.
Yeah, yep. We'll be looking for guests and topics, of course, and I'll continue to try and improve the streamlinedness of the media. Yeah,
You did a great job, Cookie.
yeah.
You did, Cookie.
Getting there. It's
And no mention from anyone about the Friday the 13th graphics in the top corner.
Happy Friday the 13th. Yeah.
You noticed that, did you, Marshy? Yeah.
Yeah,
Very
it's interesting
observant.
that.
Yeah.
It's interesting that.
It's a bit eerie. It's Friday the 13th. There's a strawberry full moon happening outside. It's all come together, mate.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. 6 degrees. Stay warm and rugged up inside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. I might head off. It's been wonderful to speak to you all, and I really appreciate the opportunity to come on board and have this chat, and look forward to some great things happening for Vintage Bash.
Yeah,
Can't
brilliant. Thank you so much for joining, Nick. It's been fantastic.
Cheers,
And I'm
Nick.
definitely looking forward to seeing you wheel a Haunted Evo.
Yeah.
Mate, bring it. Send it.
That's the way. Cheers,
All right,
Nick. I'll
guys.
see you there.
See you there. Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Awesome. See ya.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me also.
Yep,
I'll leave
thanks,
you guys
Marshy.
to wrap up, and I'll catch you next time. Look forward to seeing you have Scotty G on one more time. Always enjoy watching that.
Yep.
And we'll catch up.
Was
Thanks
it
for
the
having me on.
dulcet tones of Scotty G?
Exactly right. I'm pretty sure he drinks some warm honey
Ooh.
every evening just to keep that everything smooth and
That's
silky.
the secret. I need a lot of that.
Apparently. All right, guys.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me and letting me talk about the muster also.
Yep, we'll look forward to seeing you up there. Lou, maybe Daff and myself are heading up, so hopefully some others as well. We'll see you there.
Can't wait. It's only 7 weeks away.
Going to be
All
brilliant.
right, guys.
Awesome fun.
See you now.
Magnificent.
Cheers. Thanks, Marshy. Cool.
And on that note, we'll end the telecast.
Yep. We'll wrap it up. And good stuff, Lou. And we'll do this every probably couple of weeks is the aim. And again, if you have ideas about topics or guests, or if you'd like to come and join us, if you've got something to bring, yell out, reach out to us, send a message on Facebook, and we'll look into look forward to doing this again in a couple of weeks.
Done.
Cool. See ya.
So yeah.